Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Wave. We're going to go ahead and get started. So our first slide has to do with the ownership wizard. We still have several ownership conflicts that need resolution. You know, all the ownership conflicts need to be resolved for those students to be counted in your district. There's also a functionality that I mentioned last week that you need to know about, that if the first district that certifies and reports a student, if there's a conflict, then once that other district goes to certify their report, it will actually kick them out and say that you're sharing a student. So be sure and look for that. And just for your information, currently there's 481 conflicts out there for ownership across the state. So be sure that you are looking at those. Our STN issues, make sure you're working them as they contribute to whether or not the students show up in your missing students on your reports. We are also assisting in resolving those STN issues, but it's a good idea for you to look at them as well. I know there were some of you having issues with the STNs not populating. This could be related to validation issues, because that will definitely prevent you from an STN being created. So you have to check those as well. So be sure you're doing that. And that brings us segued into validation errors. We're seeing numerous validation errors. Actually, there's like 144,000 plus out there currently. And the student demographic error can also affect a student from showing up on the October 1st and the FQSR. So if a name is not in there correctly, or the birth date or state of birth or race is not in there, you're not going to have an STN created. So please be sure that you're checking those on a daily basis. Again, here we are with XSD errors. Again, the district level users have access to it. It can be seen from your dashboard at the bottom. And what you need to send your vendor to correct it is the actual error description, the object that failed, your XML language, and the date that the error occurred. If you'll just send those off to your vendors, they can check to see what's creating the issue. Our state certification reports that are now open are the third grade promotion and retention report. It closes October 31st at 11:59. Our FQSR, which was opened on the 7th of September, and it closes December 1st. And our October 1st consolidated report opened the 13th and closes November 1st. Just a heads up on the districts, we've got 23 districts that have currently certified their report and 12 that have confirmed it. So please be working to get those confirmed and certified. New wave account creations. OMES is the department that actually handles these creations, and they're working to automate it. So if you have a new user that's a new SSO user that needs access to the wave, be sure that your superintendent provides them the access, and then send an email to our OMES at affiliate, or for their OMES email. You'll have to send an email to the service desk at omes.ok.gov, and that will give them access to the wave. I mentioned this last week, but it's worth mentioning again. The legislature will require in January that the class size be reported for all grade levels, pre-K through 12. It's going to be based upon your October 1st report using the enrollment data. And you will have an opportunity to correct the data if it's not correct once it's been released on this app. So there's more information of that to come. We're still receiving a high contact volume, and we're asking for 24 to 48 hour turnaround time to respond to your emails. And that allows us to look into this specific issue that you're emailing about. And I can't stress enough, we are continuing to get emails that have a student's full name in there, and we're asking that you not do that. We can look them up by their local ID or STN. So it's not necessary to provide a full name of a student in your emails. And if you have any questions that you need answered in regard to your data, please send that to studentdatainfo@sde.ok.gov. And we also have some documents listed at the email or the website below that can answer a lot of your questions as well, and as far as guidelines. So I would ask that you review that documentation if you have questions as well. I guess we'll open it up now for questions.
Nancy?
Yes.
They can send any FQSR questions. We would prefer to come to state aid first, and then we will tell them if we can't handle it to go to you guys to give y'all a little bit of help.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. I'll update the slides for next week so that information is in there.
And on the class size, it's going to come off of October 1 for the secondary, and first 9 weeks is done by first 9 weeks ADM for the elementary. Sorry, I said that, got that all twisted. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
This is Amanda from Broken Arrow Schools. We I think we have like 19,700 some odd kids this year, and 5 of them we've had errors about, we've emailed about, haven't heard about. Like, do we kind of what is your expected turnaround time, and do you want to hear from us again? Or these are students that they're showing as missing for no apparent reason, or their lunch eligibility is in conflict, and that's literally it on 5 kids out of 19,000 and some odd that we just can't get to go.
Amanda, if you send it and you're not getting a response in 24 or I'd say 48 hours, then please do send that email again. We can sort those emails to get to consolidate them.
Okay. All right. We'll do it. Thank you.
And Christy, to answer your question about the free and reduced for state aid would be counted at the end of October. The economically disadvantaged count is based on the October 1 date, not the whole month of October. So they might have been talking about the child nutrition count for free and reduced is usually the whole month of October. So I can ask somebody down there to find out what they're talking about.
Mona, as far as the RBD TD, the transported for the school of the deaf, the blind, what kind of errors are you having?
In accountability reporting, we are working with, if you're seeing conflicts with the RBD-TD and your home membership, we are working with the accountability office on those types of things. It's not going to cause any issues in going forward. We will get that addressed.
And back to Christy, yes, since October 1 is not due until November 1st, it does give you a little bit of time to, I know that I've heard a lot that it's really hard to collect those forms since everybody is able to eat for free this year. And so it gives you the month of October, but I mean, I don't know about pushing it to November 1st because if things start messing up for something else. But yes, you can get them identified that they were free and reduced or economically disadvantaged on October 1.
I don't know, does that answer Celeb's question? Okay, good. You're welcome. Okay, when will the PEBT open so we can make corrections? I'm not sure if there's, I think
We're still TBA on the
Yeah.
actual date. We don't want to put it out there and then have to change the date. So just be on the lookout for either an Engage OK newsletter coming out with more detail.
there's actually, if you go to the State Department website, there is a page for PEBT that has FAQs. That is the best informational page at this point. So I would refer you to that. As far as when kids are supposed to receive a card, I know that some have already been receiving a card, have received cards, but they're like Lakeisha said, we're still working on making sure the data is correct. And once we're sure that it is, we'll release that information out there to you. But that's still a to be determined date.
And I'm going to go back to Christy with you. The district is going to have to make a decision on when they're going to have a cutoff and when they want to get their report certified, and how that's going to be handled. Are you completely done with it, that you're going to be certifying the whole district, or is it you're just going to be able to put other ones in as you get them? I don't know. That I think that's a district decision, like, hey, we're going to cut this off right here. We have to get this done. So
right, I went ahead and turned my sound on. Yeah, I guess what I'm worried about is I try to get my October 1 consolidated confirmed as quickly as I can, since secretaries like to go and change dates on me and change my numbers. And I'm just worried that if I'm doing that, am I freezing something before someone's paperwork might get processed?
and that possibly could happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's up to you. Have to make a decision. I mean, that when you're going to cut that day off, and hopefully you'll receive most of them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Lakeisha, or do you know how to respond to Linda's email? I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it by month.
I can't say with 100% certainty at the moment. Leaning towards yes, you will have that ability, but to be determined. There is a direct question. Let me read it first. There's a question about tribal info, and if you could email this directly to student data info, I need a little bit more information on what you're seeing in your student information system. Right now, the list of tribal affiliations that we have available encompasses the entire United States. It may or may not line up with the fields that you may have had previously in your student information system. But depending on which one you're using will depend on how I can answer that. So if anybody else has any questions about tribal affiliations and what you're seeing in your SIS, please do reach out.
Mine was just updated. Does that have to be part of October 1? Do you pull that data yet?
We are pulling the tribal affiliation, but we're not putting that on to the October 1 report for this fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Lakeisha, I'm gonna let you take that one. Easy
Those-
grad entry.
Yeah, the easy grad entry questions I would direct to accountability. Their email is super easy, and I will say that before I give you their phone number as well. It's accountability@sde.ok.gov. But let me get their direct line in the chat for you guys. If you emailed them and you didn't get a response yet, I would also just call them as well, let them know. I'm sure they're getting the same question from other districts.
It's a tribal affiliation on the waiver requirements that it would have been sent, went to the vendors.
Yes.
Has anybody got any more questions? If not, then I guess we'll go ahead and end the call. We'll stay on for a few minutes in case someone thinks of something, and thank you for attending. See you next week. You're welcome. You want to email the student data info at sde.ok.gov. You're welcome.